कालीकूर्च समायुक्त मायाकूटोपदेशतः प्रणवार्तप्रबोधिन्यौ नमामि गुरुपादुके श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः क्रीं मात्रे नमः नमः सदसे वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते नमः सदसे. Good afternoon to one and all. We are continuing with the Dharma Basic series and we are going to go ahead with the second part of the Tattva Bodha. The Tattva Bodha videos will be coming out a little bit more in frequency because it is a very huge subject and lots of things needs to be covered in as much detail as possible as well. So the last thing that we saw is Viraha Kaha Ihaswarga Bhogeshu Ichcha Rahityam, and we saw that Viraha or Vairagya is nothing but dispassion, and dispassion in the desire of enjoying the pleasures both here and in the heaven, that is called as Viraha. So we saw this much on the other day, we saw this much on the other day, and then after Vairagya of the Sadhana Chatushtaya we are having the next one, that is we saw two of the Sadhana Chatushtayas, one is Viveka and another one is Vairagya. So and the third one here is Samadhi Sadhana Sampattihi Kaha Samotama Uparati Titiksha Shraddha Samadhanancha Iti. So this is the continuation. That is, what is sadhana, what is this one, Samadhi Sadhana Shat Sampattihi. What is Samadhi Shat Sampatti? Samadhi Shat Sampatti meaning the sixfold this one, inner wealth starting with sixfold inner wealth starting with Sama. So what are those is the question that the student is asking, and the Guru is answering. Samo, Tamo, Sama, Tama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam cha iti. So these six things, Samam, Tamam, Uparati, Titikshai, and then Shraddha and Samadhanam, these six qualities of inner wealth are the sixfold wealths called as Samadhi Shatka Sampatti or Samadhi Sadhana Sampatti or Samadhi Shat Sampatti. All the things are the same thing. All are the interchangeably used. So here we are going to see each one of these in detail, each one of these qualities. That is Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna Adhikarinam Moksha Sadhana Bhutam Tattva Viveka Prakaram Vakshyamaha is the opening of the text. After the Mangalacharanam, the opening of the text. So for a person who is having all these four qualities, and out of those four qualities the third quality is once again divided into six qualities, and these six qualities are Samam, Tamam, etc. And we will see each of these qualities, and we will see we need to understand these are mindsets. These are various different mindsets that a person must have, a person must consciously develop. So how to develop that we will see when we are seeing each quality. The first one is Samaha Kaha Mano Nigraha. What is Sama? Sama is the control of the mind. Mano Nigraha. Nigraha meaning controlling or restraining of the mind. So as I told you before, in Advaita, yoga is considered as an abhyasa or a practice for achieving the goals. And these six important goals can be achieved by practicing yoga, pranayama, japa, whatever you do. These practices, this abhyasa is primarily for bringing these conditions, these kinds of inner wealth inside you, so that your mind and your body is ready for understanding the ultimate truth through the practice of jnana yoga, through the scriptures, through a proper guru. Now I am not a guru, I will make that very clear. My aim here is to give you the terms and definitions, so that when you are seeking higher education in Indian spirituality, you will be able to go through it very easily. So that is my aim for introduction here. That is, I am like a 10th standard student who is taking tuition for first standard, second standard children. That's all. I am not a teacher. That being said, Samaha Kaha. What is Sama? Sama is the control of the mind. Now we need to understand each thought that we have is very, very flimsy. It is not powerful at all. But when these thoughts are coming together one after the other, they are very, very forcible, very, very strong. So when you want to control your mind through by practicing sama, you are going to use the Vedas, you are going to use the yoga, you are going to use your japa, you are going to use your nitya anushtana, and you are going to use your steadfast devotion to the guru and to the deity. All of these things will bring you control of the mind, control of the breath, control of the body, control of food. All of these things will will bring the control of the mind. So sama is controlling your mind. Then what is dama? Damaha kaha? So damaha kaha? Chakshur, one second. Chakshuradi bahyendriya nigraha. What is dama? Chakshuradi bahyendriya nigraha. So sama is mano nigraham, that is controlling the mind. So how do you control the mind? In fact, these 6 things are like interrelated steps. So how do you control the mind? You will control the mind by controlling the Sakshuradi Bahyendriya. Bahyendriyam meaning external senses, Sakshu meaning eye. So the senses, external senses, the internal sense is the mind. So there are, when we say 6th sense, what do we mean by that? When we say 6 senses, we mean seeing, hearing, smell, taste and touch. So the entire skin. So these 5 things are the 5 senses. The 6th sense is the mind, that which is thinking. The mind here or here, wherever, that which is thinking. So some people say it is here, some people say it is here, or the same persons will say it differently. For example, when you are thinking logically using your mind, you will point here, I think, I forgot, all these things are happening here. But when something is happening to you emotionally, you will point here, sadness or happiness, you will say, my heart is so full, my heart is so empty. All these things we are saying. So it is either here or here, that doesn't matter. For some people it is here, that is another problem. That is, whatever is there in their mind, they will keep on blabbering. That problem is also there. It is neither here nor here, simply here. From here to here the channel is going on and on and on. Okay, so that is also mind. So we do not know where is mind, that is the 6th sense. So these 5 other senses, 5 external senses, that is why it is pointed out as Bahyendriya. So Bahyendriya nigraha, the control of the 5 external senses, it is what is called as dama. So that is, the controlling of the senses will naturally happen if you are having control over your, the controlling of the mind will naturally happen if you are having control over the senses. That is, when you are pulling out the fuel, when you are pulling out the wood, the fire will automatically subside. That is, when the mind is operating because of all the external inputs. So by sitting in a separate place, by sitting in a silent place, by controlling your sense of smell, by reducing your breath span, or by elongating your breath span and reducing your breath volume. So when you are doing pranayama, this is essentially what you are doing. So by reducing the span of your breath, by increasing the span of your breath, you are making the breath longer. At the same time, when you are making it longer, it is like a rubber band. When it is together, it is thick. When it is shrunken, it is thick. But when it is becoming longer, it becomes thin. So when you are controlling your breath, your thoughts are getting controlled, your sense of smell is also getting controlled. And controlling your tongue, jihva chapalam, should be avoided. Controlling your tongue. So controlling all of these senses one by one, hearing, listening, seeing, so controlling all of these things one by one, slowly what will happen? The mind will also be controlled. So that is the natural flow. So when you lose control over your mind, you lose control over your senses. When you lose control over your senses, you lose control over your mind. So both ways it is working. Okay, and the problem here is the very purpose, the very existence of the senses. The very existence of the senses is for external knowledge, for gaining external information. So when you are going against the nature of the senses, they will protest. in order to stop them from protesting, in order to avoid them from becoming hungry, okay, we need to do certain things. How do you do this? That is, we understood that the mind must be controlled, sama must be there, and then dhamma is the control of the 5 external senses, so that the 6th internal sense is controlled. The 6th internal sense is the mind. In order to control the 6th internal sense, we are going to control the 5 external senses. This much we understand. But the very nature of the senses is to collect information. They are extraverted in nature. So how do you control this extraverted sense and turn it into an introverted process and introverted equipment? It is only possible through the next step, which is uparati or uparama. Uparamaha kaha. What is uparama? Uparamaha kaha. Swadharma anushtanam eva. That is, following your own dharma, keeping your own dharma, maintaining, practicing your own dharma, only only your dharma and nothing else. That is what is called as this one. So that is, in Gita it is stated that the 5 senses must be drawn in like a tortoise. And this, after drawing in, what are you going to do? Are you being asked to become inert? This is the biggest conflict that Swami Vivekananda has solved so beautifully. We keep on saying Indriya Nigraha, Bahya Indriya Nigraha. So in order to avoid the action, in order to avoid the action of receiving, we also have to stop the action of doing. So if you are doing, you will be receiving. That is the problem. So a sannyasi must isolate himself from the society, from everything, from his family, from the society, from everything, and he must go separately. He must go alone, and he must sit in the caves of the Himalayas. This is how it has been misunderstood. This is what Swami Vivekananda is saying. He is saying this is how it has been misunderstood. In fact, instead of using the senses for pleasure, if you use the senses for service, then the problem is resolved. So when you are using the senses for service, that is swadharma. What is your swadharma? We need to understand this swadharma very clearly. Swadharma meaning your duty. Simple. Dharma has many explanations, but for this analysis, let us say swadharma is your duty. So what is your duty? Duty towards father, duty towards mother, duty towards sister, duty towards brother, duty towards wife, grandparent, son, whatever is there. So in order to do this swadharma anushtanam, in order to practice this swadharma, you must first know the dharma by the shastras. And after knowing that, based on your nature of work and based on your lifestyle, there are certain practices that has been given to you by the shastras. So those practices must be done properly in time on a daily regular basis. So once you do the practices, then naturally your senses will come into control. What is the relationship here? We need to understand. That is, when you are doing the practices, let us say Sandhya Vandanam, or let us say your daily puja, whatever, or your daily yoga, naturally your tendency to gather unnecessary or negative or pleasurable things will reduce, because you are going towards the higher truth. The process itself of swadharma anushtana is going towards the higher truth, because all the practices, let it be a puja, let it be bhajana, let it be this one yoga, whatever you are doing, asana, whatever you are doing, your ultimate goal is to realize the supreme. So your ultimate goal is to turn inward. So when this is happening through your swadharma anushtana, by doing your duty, then naturally from uparama or uparati, this one is achieved, your dhamma is achieved, and from the dhamma sama is achieved. And also if you aim for sama, you will be able to, if you aim for sama, you will understand that dhamma is required, and dhamma can be achieved only through uparama. So uparama is uparama kaha swadharma anushtanam eva. It is strict adherence of one's own dharma. Okay, what is known as uparama or uparati? It is the practice of your own duties. This is the second one, I mean third one. And then we have ram ram, we have titiksha kaha. Titiksha kaha. Okay, here shita ushna sukha dukkha adi sahinuštvam. Okay, sorry, adi sahišnuštvam, that is very very beautiful. That is, yes, oh, okay. So titiksha ka, what is titiksha? Titiksha ka, that is the question. That is the next second one. So titiksha is the endurance of everything. That is, what are the endurances? Okay, the endurance are sita, shita meaning cold, and then ushna, heat, and then sukha, happiness, dukkha meaning sorrow, adi, all these kinds of things, all these kinds of dualities are there, right? So sahishnutvam meaning toleration, or tolerating, or enjoying without attachment, or not being affected by it. Various meanings are there for sahishnutvam. So sahishnutvam of what? Sahishnutvam of heat, cold, happiness, sorrow, etc. is called as titiksha. Okay, so titiksha is a state wherein the enjoyer is not actually enjoying. He is just there as a sakshi. That is the beauty of titiksha. So titiksha kaha, titiksha is a state wherein you are only the observer and nothing will affect you. So this dvantva is the problem. The world is always throwing dvantva, that is the duality. As I told you before, in Vedanta there is only dukkha and then dukkha mishra sukha. Okay, so this means that there is only sadness and then happiness combined with sadness. There is no direct happiness at all according to Vedanta. Okay, now when you are in the condition of heat, cold, opposites. Similarly, happiness, sorrow, opposites. Similarly, you are in the condition of sweet and bitter. So all of these things that are coming to you, all of these things together, they should be endured equally. Sahishnutvam. Okay, so it should be endured equally, because you are only the sakshi. You are neither hot nor cold. You are neither sweet nor bitter. You are not the enjoyer of the action, but only the observer of whatever is happening to your body and your mind. That is one of the highest truths of Vedanta, and, and that can be achieved by the practice of titiksha. So titiksha is, okay, what is titiksha? Sita, ushna, sukha, dukkadi, sahishnutvam is titiksha. Okay, so that is the fifth one. Am I correct? No, fourth one. So the fifth one is Shraddha Kidrishi. Guru Vedanta Tattva Vakyeshu Vishvashaha Shraddha. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu or Guru Vedanta Tattva Vakyeshu. Both of the variations are there in the text. So Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vishvashaha Shraddha. Shraddha Kidrishi. What is Shraddha? Kidrishi is also another questioning word that means what. So what is Shraddha? We saw Samatama Uparati Titiksha. So what is Shraddha now? That is the fifth one. What is the fifth one? So fifth one is Guru Vedanta Vakya. Guru Vedanta Vakya. Vakyadishu, Vakyadishu, Vishvashaha Shraddha. So belief in the Vishvasha is either belief or dependence. Okay, that is depending upon the Guru Vedanta Vakya. Okay, either it can be Guru's Vedanta Vakya or the Vedanta Vakya of the Guru. That is the beauty here. So if it is being stated Guru Vakyeshu Vishvashaha Shraddha, it becomes a compulsory thing for you that whatever the Guru is saying you must believe. But the beauty of this sentence, the beauty is that Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu, only when the Guru is telling you the final solution, when the Guru is giving you the final definition, final result based on the Vedas, based on the Shastras, if the Guru is giving you with proper pramana, if the Guru is giving you a Vakya, only then it is considered as Guru Vedanta Vakya. This is one way of handling this. One way of meaning is that if the Guru must refer to Vedanta and give you the Vakya, and you must have Shraddha in that Vakya, you must have belief in that Vakya. Now there is a contradiction. The contradiction, opponent view, is that, see, you are saying all the other religions of the world are faith-based propositions, while this Sanatana Dharma is not a faith-based or belief-based proposition. This is a knowledge-based research. Now you are saying Shraddha, faith. What do you mean by this? Vishwasha. That is, you have to believe in your Guru, you have to believe in the Vedanta. Why? Because, first of all, you need to internalize the Vedanta, the Vakya as explained by the Guru based on the Vedanta, in order to realize the truth. And once you realize the truth, you will understand that it is going to happen. Whether you believe in something or not, it does not matter. Actually, it does not matter. But this Shraddha is nothing but, I must try. The belief must be on the Guru Vedanta Vakya Adi. That is, starting from that point onwards, I will try. If my Guru is asking me to try, I will try. That Shraddha should be there. That is what is required. It is not that I will straight away believe. Then you can simply say, okay, I will straight away believe what my Guru is saying. That will lead me to liberation. Biggest contradiction here. Based on what we are speaking about the other fellow in other videos, you need to understand it from that perspective. That is, Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vakyadishu Vishwashaha Shraddha. You are having your faith in that your Guru is saying the correct thing because it is based on the Vedanta, and you need to analyze this in order to understand the truth. This is only one of the 6 steps. This is not the ultimate one. We need to understand that. Because if you are having Shraddha and not Samadhana, then the sixfold wealth is not achieved. Okay. So, here, Samadhanam Kim? Okay. Chitta Ekagrahataha. Chitta Ekagrahata. Okay. What is Samadhanam? Samadhanam is the oneness of the mind, or the single pointedness of the mind. Samadhanam is the 6th quality of the Samadhi Shatka Sampatti. And it is saying Chitta Ekagraha, Chitta Ekagrahata, the single pointedness of the mind. Okay. Now, Chitta can either be mind or it can be will. Both ways, because Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, in other places it is divided as mind, intellect, will and identity. So that way also you can say the will must be single pointed, my will must be single pointed, or my mind must be single pointed. If you are saying Mana Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha, that means that the Chitta is the mind. Both ways we can take that. Either way, Samadhana or the 6th inner wealth. We saw Samam, Tamam, Uparati, Titiksha, and then Shraddha, and finally Samadhana. So the 6th wealth is Samadhana. And what is Sama-adhana? Adhanam meaning being or existing. So Sama-adhanam is equal existence. Okay, by equal existence you can achieve one-pointedness of the mind. Normally mind is wandering, and our effects and all our efforts are distracted. Especially if you have not determined your goal, or if you are looking at more than one goal in life, then your mind will be continuously distracted. So if you have a single goal, if you fix a single goal, then you will be able to achieve that goal easily without wandering. Okay, so if I want to go to, let us say, Chennai from Trichy, and if I am going in the route of Madurai, then I am going in the route of Tirunelveli, and then I am going to Coimbatore, and then I am going to Chennai, I will even forget where I started, and I will even forget where I am going. So setting the goal very clearly, that can be told, that is the practice for Samadhana. We saw that for the practice of Sama, we must do yoga and other abhyasas. in order to control the mind. When you are doing yoga and other abhyasas, naturally we are speaking about the dhamma, which is controlling the 5 external senses. And then for doing this practice, you must have your anushtana, which is your practice of your own dharma, swadharma anushtanam eva, that is uparama or uparati. Okay, and then titiksha, by when you are doing this practice, both the good and the bad, heat and the cold, sukha and dukkha, all of these things you must consider as the same. It is very, very important in another sense as well, going backwards, because when you are doing your daily practices, you are doing your daily anushtana, daily puja, whatever your guru has given you, if there is some mishap that is happening in your life, huge loss that is happening in your life, the first victim that you will be throwing away from your life will be your sadhana. Okay, I am doing this much puja, I am doing this much this much yoga, all these things I am doing, but still all these bad things have happened to me, so I will simply throw away my japamala. This will be the reaction. So if this reaction is to be avoided, if you want to be steadfast in your daily practices, if you want to do uparama or uparati, then titiksha is very, very important. And when you must have titiksha, if you want to have titiksha, then you must have a steadfast devotion towards your guru's vakya, that is shraddha. And when you are having shraddha, then the guru will set the goal for you, and you have to be single pointedly concentrating on that goal in order to achieve the ultimate result. So instead of having so many goals like wealth, family, well-being, health, or siddhis, whatever, your goal must be only one thing. And what is that only one thing? Okay, mumukshutvam kim? What is mumukshutva? Mumukshutvam kim? Moksho me bhuyat iti ichcha. I will achieve moksha or liberation. I will be in the state of moksha or liberation. That desire, iti ichcha, that ichcha is what is mumukshutva. Mumukshutvam kaha moksho me bhuyat iti ichcha. So now when we are speaking about samadhana, we said that if we are having many goals in life, you will not reach any of the goals, or you will only go halfway to each of the goals, and you will decide to be happy with that, and you will become a mediocre person. So if you do not want to be a mediocre person, then what you need to do, you need to set one goal and achieve it completely. And what can be that goal? In order to answer the question, the next sentence, mumukshutvam kim moksho me bhuyat iti ichcha. Moksho me bhuyat, I will attain liberation. Okay, that is the desire. Okay, let me attain liberation, I will attain liberation. So naturally we are prompted by the desire for happiness and the desire for removal of unhappiness. Ishta vritti, anishta nivritti. This is the goal of every activity that we are doing in our life. So when you are continuously going through this dvantva of ishtavritti and anushta nivritti, what are we achieving at the end? We are moving away from that which will give us sadness. We are going towards that which will give us happiness. But unfortunately, we are like magnet with two poles. And what do like poles do? They repel. Unlike poles, they will attract. So when you are moving away from happiness, okay, when you are moving towards happiness, happiness is moving away from you. When you are moving away from sadness, sadness is coming towards you. This is because you are naturally a happy person. You are naturally a blissful person. Swami Vivekananda is saying you are the sons of eternal bliss. When all the other religions are calling sinners, oh sinners, come here, Jesus will save you, oh sinners, if you are not doing this, you are not a Muslim, all these things are being told. So when in that point of time, Swami Vivekananda is saying you are the son of eternal bliss, you are the putras of amritatva, you are the sons of immortality, you are the sons of eternality, you are the bearers of Amrita, you are the bearers of the elixir, is what Swami Vivekananda is proclaiming. And why he is proclaiming this? He is proclaiming this because since your nature is eternal happiness, when you are going towards happiness, North Pole to North Pole, what is it doing? It is moving away from you. But even when you are moving away from sadness, what is happening? It is coming towards you, because opposite poles are attracting. So your natural tendency to go towards happiness must be stopped in order to be in your own happiness. That is liberation. So I will attain liberation. That is the ultimate statement that is being made. I will attain liberation. That is mumukshutva. That desire is mumukshutva. So we saw that single pointedness of mind has to be achieved for samadhana to happen. And when samadhana has to happen, you are clearly looking at mumukshutva as that goal. What is the aim? You are saying if you are having too many goals, then you will not reach anything. So what is the goal that I can keep? Liberation is the only goal that I can keep. Mumukshutvam is the goal that I can keep. So these are the fourfold this one. Okay. Now etat sadhana chatushtaya, etat sadhana chatushtayam tatastha tattva vivekasya adhikarino bhavanti. So by having these fourfold paths, what are the fourfold paths? You are having the fourfold paths of these things, that is starting with viveka, vairagya, and then samadhi, shatka sampatti, and then mumukshutva. And on that note, another thing I forgot to say about mumukshutva, that is there are four levels of mumukshutva, that is adimanta, manta, and then madhyama and tivra. So these are the four levels of mumukshutva. That is it is like this: very dull. If I get liberated, it is okay. If I don't get liberated, it is also okay. Okay, I will try in the next life. If you are thinking like this, then it is adimanta, very very manta state, very very dull state. And then there is dull state of mumukshutva, that is I must seek, well, I will seek it after I retire. After I finish all my worldly responsibilities, I will go and seek liberation. That is adimanta. Okay, sorry, that is manta. And then you have madhyama. Madhyama means I will practice, but if my life is coming in, then I will go back. It is not that I want to wait for retirement. I will read books, I will go to a guru, whatever. But if my life is coming, if desires are coming, if my responsibility is coming, other responsibilities are coming, then I will leave the practice and I will go to my responsibilities. And then finally, tivra, whatever happens, I will get out of this bondage. That is tivra. So for a tivra person, does that mean that very dull, you can understand that fellow is just a lazy fellow, you can just simply throw him off. Okay, so you can simply throw him off. And for a dull person, he is waiting for the tide to be over for doing the fishing in the sea. I will do the fishing, I will go for fishing once the waves are completed in the sea. This is the nature. So this also is not going to work. But the problem is between the person who is madhyama and the tivra. The madhyama has got a valid reason, supposedly valid reason. Let us analyze and see if it is a valid reason. The person who is a madhyama mumukshu, he is saying, I am doing my mumukshutva, I am having the desire for the liberation, but if my life is intervening with that, I'll have to go back. This sounds like a valid excuse, or this sounds like a valid reason for moving away from your spiritual practices. But a person who is tivra, he is saying, come what may, I will attain. That seems like very good. But what will happen to this tivra person's responsibility? That is the question. Whether he will go as a sannyasi or not. Well, if he is a tivra mumukshu, then obviously he must be having the shatka sampatti, right? In the shatka sampatti, we clearly saw what is uparama or uparati. Uparati is having your steadfasted devotion in your swadharma. Swadharma anushthanam eva. So when you are having your swadharma, when you are doing your duties, your responsibilities as swadharma, then it is very clear that that is also a way for liberation. That is also a way for liberation. So when you are in your swadharma, you cannot give the excuse that because of mumukshutva I have to leave my family. Not at all required. Nobody is asking you to leave your family for attaining liberation. No sannyasa is required if you are not so inclined. That is for a person who is not at all interested in the family, who does not want a wife, who does not want children, whose parents are already settled or either passed away, or the other brothers are there. So that kind of condition, if that fellow wants to take sannyasa, it is acceptable, no problems. I am not speaking about avatars here. I am not speaking about Adi Shankara and Ramana. That is a different scenario. But for normal people like you and me, only if you are not interested in the sensory pleasure, you can go for sannyasa. That is, you can become a perfectly tivra mumukshu, no responsibilities, nothing. Okay. But you can still be a tivra mumukshu even inside the family, because swadharma anushtanam eva is the definition given for uparama or uparati. So we need to understand uparati in order to understand the grahastha life. In order to understand uparati, in order to understand the grahastha life, you need to understand titiksha. That is, even if you are a grahastha, whether happiness or sorrow is happening to you, you must be enjoying them equally, or you need not enjoy at all. You can just be an observer. Two pathways are there for that. Okay, now all these things being said, etat sadhana chatushtayam, this is the sadhana chatushtaya. This is the declaration from the Guru. He is closing this chapter. He is saying etat sadhana chatushtayam, and then tatastha, thereafter, tataha, thereafter, the enquiry into the truth is being achieved. Tatastha tattva vivekasya adhikarino bhavanti. When a person has achieved all of these things, he becomes an adhikari for the tattva viveka, for discrimination of the reality of the truth. So he is first setting, previously we saw that mumukshunam hitarthaya, that is, for in order to make it easy for the mumukshus, in order to do good for the mumukshus, in order to do that, this text is being explained. So and also we saw that sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikarinam moksha sadhana bhutam tattva vivekam vakshyamaha. Then we saw what is this sadhana chatushtaya, how can you define a person as a mumukshu. A person can be a mumukshu if he is having viveka and vairagya, and in order to achieve viveka and vairagya, you must be able to discriminate. I mean, you must be able to follow all the 6 inner wells, like, you know, control of the mind, control of the senses, and then being steadfast in your duties, your swadharma, and then going through the process of life without being affected by the heat and the cold, sukha and the dukkha, all these things. Then finally, you should be a mumukshu. You should be having desire towards liberation. That is, you can do all of these things. You can do this sama, tama, everything, sama, dama, everything, and still not seek liberation, because swarga kamo yajeta. A person who is wanting swarga will do the yajnas, and for doing the yajnas, all this one-pointedness, you know, having concern about your duties, and then understanding that, you know, whether good or bad comes out of the yajna, it is okay. All these things should be there. But still you will be seeking the heaven and you will not be seeking the liberation. That possibility is there. So the final quality, that which is defining everything else, and that which makes you an adhikari, that which makes you an authorized person for understanding the reality of the truth, is mumukshutva. So sadhana etat sadhana chatushtayam, this is sadhana chatushtaya. And then tatasya tattva vivekasya adhikarino bhavanti. This person becomes the adhikari for understanding, for realizing the truth. Okay, so now let us go to the next portion, that is actual enquiry into the truth. We are starting what is tattva viveka, that we will see in the next video. Tattva vivekaha kaha, we will see in the next video. Cliffhanger. Tattva vivekaha kaha, what is tattva viveka, we will see in the next video. I have given you a cliffhanger, so come back to the next video. तच्चं योरा वृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपते सञ्चतुष्पते आं शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. नमः सदसे. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः।